Okay, so today we're doing this lab called the Bead Bug Lab, and I'm doing kind of a modified version that we normally do with Science in Motion. And so you guys are going to be starting out with 9 pink, 9 blue, 1 yellow, and 1 clear. So the yellow and clear are essentially some mutations that have happened in the population. They're pretty rare throughout the population, and we're going to see if those mutations are actually able to kind of permeate through the population or if they're just going to die off. You know, we talked about some mutations are beneficial, some are harmful, some are really not affecting anything one way or another. And so what we're going to be looking at is what changes over time. So there's going to be 2 groups in this class that are going to have a blue background with some flowers on it, and then there's going to be 2 groups with a black background with some flowers on it. And we're going to compare and see how those different backgrounds affect the selection of the different bead bugs over time. Okay, and I'll show you that in a second when we get started. And so basically each one of these generations I've got divided up into 2 sections. The AP stands for after predation. So we're starting out with 20 bead bugs, 9, 9, 1, and 1. Everybody's starting out the same way. And then you're going to basically have one person in your group that has their back to the bead bugs. And so one person needs to be the predator. Choked to death on some oatmeal. Anyway, and basically what you'll do is you're going to turn around real quick and you're going to grab the first bead bug that you see. So this is all based on sight. So essentially you're pretending like you're a bird predator and you see these bugs on the ground and you're grabbing the first one that you see. Okay? So grabbing it, boom. Turn around, look, grab the next one, boom. So your beak's only big enough for 1 bug at a time though, okay? So you'll grab a bug, grab another bug, and you'll do that, you're gonna grab 10 bugs. Okay, so you're gonna eat half of them. At the end of that, you're gonna write how many are left after predation or AP. Okay? All the ones that are left, you're going to double them. Okay? And so the ones that were left over, their traits survived, they're gonna get to pass on their traits to the offspring. Remember, evolution is not dying and having sex. So we're essentially, can you survive? Can you pass on your traits? And then you'll double those, and that'll be AR is after reproduction, how many you have left. And then you'll do the same thing here and here. Okay, so we're going to go through 4 different generations of that and really 3 times of predation. Once you're through, then you're going to look back at the predictions you made. How did the black background and the blue background affect predation? So we had the same number, the same type of bead bugs. And then, so how did that affect the outcome? We all started out, was there evolution in the population over time? And then the second prediction I asked you to make was, what do you think is going to happen in your particular background that you have? So you'll have either blue or black, and you're going to be looking at the specific numbers of each one of these, and what do you think will happen? Essentially, we're starting out with 44% pink, 44% blue, 5% yellow, and 5% clear. So what do you think happens at the end? I would suggest before you make that hypothesis that you go ahead and take your flowery background, you lay out your bead bugs on it, just kind of scatter them all out over it, okay? And then just by looking at it, try to make that prediction. And then once you're done with your predation, you can go back and you can compare. And so then at the end, you're going to make conclusions for both of those, okay? Were you correct? Were you incorrect? Why do you think the populations changed the way they did? So those are the things that you're going to be looking at. So you're making 2 hypotheses, what you think will happen, really predictions here, and then you're going to make 2 conclusions or a conclusion for each one of those once we're finished. Okay? Now, you're going to have your own data. I want you to share your data after that 4th generation of predation down here and after they've reproduced, and we'll put it on the board over here. We'll average it up, and we'll see how that looks in terms of our class data. Okay? Any questions? Everybody understand what you're doing? So you're in a group of 2, except 1 group of 3. 2 of y'all are going to be over here on the blue side. 2 of y'all are going to be over here on the black side. And then once you're through, put your data up here on the board, and we'll start averaging that up and comparing them. Okay? Go. So when we look at our averages here for our pink and blue and yellow and clear, we rounded these off, and they're pretty similar to the original what we started out with. We had 9911, and so the blues were a little bit more prevalent, or were stuck around more than the pinks, but not a whole lot. And like I said, on the black ones down here, the averages, our pinks went up and our blues went down, the yellows completely went away, and we doubled the number of clears we had. So we see some change here. So when a population changes over time, we call that evolution. So there's some evolving taking place, and we didn't have much time today, but you guys can tell after 3 generations, we had some significant changes, especially in this one. Blues stayed pretty much the same. Would it change if we went through 7 or 8 generations? We might see some. We don't know. We don't have enough time for that. But typically, the longer, the more changes, the more exposure to a new environment, the more changes you see. Now, we talked about the other day, the primary driving factor behind evolution is environment. And so this lab is a good example of that, because we had 2 different color backgrounds, and so that was, and we started out with the same number of bead bugs in each one, and so that was really the driving force behind, you know, the selection that took place as we were eating those bead bugs. And so I posted, I'll put one of the videos in of our eating the bead bugs, and so you can see how that selection takes place. It's basically a lab on camouflage. Which ones blend in better with the environment, which ones make it more difficult for predators to see you and less likely to be eaten. Okay?